If you're planning on selling your home, you have some decisions to make. One of those decisions is whether or not you're going to offer compensation to the buyer's agent. This is going to be a major part of your selling strategy. And today we're going to be talking about what this means, why it matters, and how it can impact your sale. So what is an offer of compensation? Let's start with the basics. An offer of compensation is when you, the seller, offer to pay the buyer's agent who brings in a buyer that successfully closes on your home, because it's going to help that buyer reduce some of those costs that buyers typically have to cover out of pocket. By easing their financial burden, you might attract more interest in your property. Now, this is going to be especially beneficial for first-time home buyers, the people with limited budgets, or any buyer who's tight on cash. So the offer of compensation will definitely be more attractive to buyers. When we purchased our first home, the sellers did compensate our agent for us, and that made it possible for us to finish and close the transaction. So the next question you may have is it mandatory? You might be wondering, do I have to offer compensation to sell my home? And the answer is no, it is not mandatory. It's never been mandatory. There is no rule, and there's never been any rule that says you must offer compensation to a buyer's agent. This is one of those decisions where your agent can guide you based on what's typical in your market and also what aligns with your goals. Your realtor can help you figure out if offering compensation makes sense for your situation. But at the end of the day, it's still your call, as it always has been. Another important point to remember is that your agent cannot offer compensation without your approval. They need your written approval in the form of a contract. Of course, everything is laid out before you sign it, and your agent should go through it with you to make sure that everything aligns with what you guys discuss. It is encouraged to still offer some form of compensation to the buyer's agent, again, because it makes your house more attractive and brings more interest from potential buyers who may be short on cash. But again, it's totally up to you. So next up, we're going to discuss the types of compensation. There's a few different ways that you can structure compensation if you decide that this is what you're going to do. So here's some options. First, we have the flat fee option. This will be a set amount that you will offer to pay the buyer's agent. It's not a percentage, it's just a flat dollar amount. So the next type of compensation will be shared compensation. This is where your agent would share a percentage of their compensation with the other agent who brings the buyer. I'm sure we've all seen in the past where a commission would be 6% on the listing contract. The brokerage would then split that 6% between the buyer's agent and the listing agent. So 3 and 3%, or it could be 2 and 2%, or it could be 1.5 and 1.5. It just depends on whatever you decide. If you want to sweeten the deal further, you could offer concessions to the buyer, like covering some of the closing costs or taking care of certain repairs. Concessions are just another way to make your home more appealing to potential buyers, especially the buyers who need more help with the cost due upfront. So if you decide to make an offer of compensation, how do you let the people know? So there's going to be several options. You can advertise through traditional methods such as flyers or yard signs, brokerage websites, social media, or even directly through a phone call or an email to the buyer's agents. So more than likely, the buyer's agent will be calling the listing agent, which should be your agent, to ask if you're offering compensation. Just keep in mind that offers of compensation cannot be listed on the MLS or the multiple listing service. If you're not familiar with the MLS, this is just an online platform for real estate listings. Whether or not you decide to publicly advertise that you're offering compensation or not, it's going to be up to you. If you choose not to advertise that you're offering compensation, you can instead choose to negotiate the offer in the purchase agreement. So now we're going to discuss concessions versus compensation. Let's clarify the difference between compensation and concessions. Compensation is about paying the buyer's agent. Concessions are about covering buyer's expenses, such as closing costs and repairs. Just think of it as another incentive to make your house stand out in the crowd of houses for sale. By reducing the buyer's upfront expenses, you're making it easier for them to move forward with the purchase. And finally, making the best decision. How do you know what's the best option for you? This is where working with a realtor will really pay off. Your agent should be committed to putting your interest first and helping you navigate through all of these choices. They'll talk you through each option, answer your questions, and help you create a unique strategy that's right for your situation. If you still have questions or want to know more about your specific situation, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm here to help you make your journey as smooth as possible. My number is 931-486-4537. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you're notified every time I post a new video. Thank you for watching, and you guys have a good weekend.